Are you trying to navigate this crazy thing called life? Well, you're in the right place. Welcome to Unraveling with Rayne. Alright guys, welcome, and today I am in the studio with Cindy Stratman and Amber Mitchell. They're co-owners of Blink of an Eye Healing, and their whole business is based around personal growth, right? Mm-hmm. And so they're both certified life coaches, and they like to utilize that as well as many healing techniques to help their clients. And they do this in individual sessions as well as group sessions, and they also work really actively in the community, informing people and helping personal growth events and such, right?
In classes, yeah.
In classes, mm-hmm. Perfect. So I'm really excited to dive into like what you guys do, but first I need to know how you even got set on this journey. Like, what turned you on to alternative healing methods, I would say? Who wants the floor first?
Well, as far as what turned me on to alternative healing methods, I grew up a Christian Scientist.
Okay.
And so I was accustomed to the ideas of not necessarily turning immediately to traditional medical practices for health and wellness.
Sure.
And as I matured and left the church, well, most of us grow up and do those kinds of things. I certainly did too.
Yeah.
Down the road, quite some ways, I met a friend who was a rapid eye technician.
Okay.
And for me, it was a matter of going because I love new experiences. You know, so I think, what is this thing? You know, she goes, oh, come on down, I'll show you what it is. So I went down and had my first session and realized that it was a very effective way to relieve stress and anxiety and really just reach a much more calm and peaceful state of mind. And continued on, had a whole bunch of sessions with her, mm-hmm. and learned more about it, and eventually became a rapid eye tech. So
awesome.
Kind of in a nutshell, that's how I got there.
Yeah. Was it just like by happenstance, or like how did this like connection happen?
Well, my spouse is a pastor of a church, and they came to church there one day.
Oh.
So literally it was kind of a happenstance. And
that's crazy.
I was teasing them because that's what I do.
Yeah.
And laughing about stuff. They said, oh, you know, I do this thing. And then we went out and got some coffee, and I got to know her better. And it turned out that her mother was the founder of Rapid Eye Technology.
Really?
And she's a Rapid Eye Tech. And then she told me more about that and her family and how that all worked and so forth. Sure. And it was, you know, I just went in and did it. And I really enjoyed it. I really found it very efficacious. And what's interesting about it is I thought about coming down here and doing the podcast. I thought, well, what did it really do for me? And I was in the midst of menopause at that time. And I can't tell you how unnerving that is. It's quite the experience. You know, you got to be grateful for being a woman at point, because you just have experiences that are just difficult to even verbalize.
Sure.
And that was one of them.
And there's so many of them.
There are so many of them all the time, you know, between birth and all the other things we go through. I mean, it's just astonishing. But that was yet another thing that we as women go through. And it was a difficult time for me, and I didn't really realize how intense I had become about life in general, and driven by my own natural intensity and by menopause. that changed, you know. And
sure.
My hormones were kicking my butt, and I felt so much better and so much more relieved, and I really did let go of a lot of the trauma that had built up over my life, and a lot of the different issues that I'd had were it just felt like they were just naturally released. And I thought, man, this is cool stuff.
So did you feel that shift like after the first session?
I did. I felt it after the first session and continued to feel it as we went along.
Sure.
Then I learned that anyone who wants to become a rapid eye technician can. It's not tricky, and it doesn't take, you know, like sometimes people think, you know, you feel like you have to be like a magic person or something to do it, but this is not one of those things.
Oh yeah, well we encountered that with Crystal when she was on talking about, you know, healing energy and stuff, and she's like, you don't have to have like superpowers or anything. You just, you know, it's there. So yeah. Well,
and this is really a technique. You know, you learn to use the eye directing device effectively. You learn to use the scripts. You learn the different mechanisms that you do it, and you're off and running. You know, you really can do this. So that they have where you go to school through the Rapid Eye Institute has a what is a certification?
It's a vocational school. License.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you have classes and you fill them all out, and it's kind of a home study thing, and then you go for once or twice to really learn the skills. And And you're off and going. So truly something that anyone can use, and then you get to bring some of your own personality to it, which is nice.
Yes. Definitely. Yeah, that's awesome. So what about you, Amber? What set you on that track?
Let's see. I struggled with postpartum depression after each of my kids. I just didn't really realize what it was. You know, I had my first one, baby blues, yada yada, and had a couple more kids, and then I tried therapy. I tried, diet. I tried, you name it. Just kind of looking for stuff and going to my doctor and saying, I think I have a problem, this and that. But they, you're fine. And so then I kind of reached a breaking point after my 6th child, because I have 7, and I happened to sit down near this lady who passed me a number. We started talking, and she was just like, "Here's a number of somebody to go see." I was like, "Okay," and I was like, "Wow, I think I might need to do something, right?" Sure, I'll give it one more shot. What do I have to lose? Yeah. So, and I handed my husband the kids, even the baby, the 2-month-old, which is, unlike me. And I was just like, take him to a park, and I called him. Yeah. I called the therapist, and she said, I can see you in like an hour. And so I said, okay. I showed up, and she just kind of said, so I've got this eye directing thing, and I'm just going to have you blink and move your eyes. And I was like, sure, whatever. I was in that place that I was like, just not good, right? Right? Exactly. Yeah. I need hope. Yeah. And I was rapidly losing hope. So I went home after that session, and I felt better. The other part of this tech in particular is also a licensed mental health counselor. So that was an awesome thing because I needed that as well. And that's what I, to help me kind of understand a little bit, but also the rapid eye part to relieve the emotion of it. So that way I wasn't being re-traumatized by memories that I was having or feelings I was having of being a horrible mom or this or that or whatnot, that are not necessarily true. Yeah. But I thought they were. Right.
I can say from my own personal experience with therapy, like the flooding sensation of emotions when you're like trying to work through trauma is way overwhelming. Like
and that's where the rapid eye saved me. Yeah. Is because when I would be able to recall that, she would do something called the emergency desensitization technique and everything, which would help just to one, reassure that you're okay. Yes. That's not happening right now. Important. And two, also to release all that emotion and realize that you'll live through it. Be able to have some tools and skills to breathe, to move, to get that emotion out, so that way you're able to see things in a different light. Sure. And that's what I started to notice as I kept going for sessions and everything. And it was just kind of conglomerated because, like Cindy said, it, everybody has their own little flavor, and so she had her own tools and skills that she was using along with this. I realized halfway through, I want to learn this. I need to learn this because it's changing my life. My husband saw me, came back, and was like, I don't know what it is, but go again, keep going. Yeah. We got nothing to lose. So I went through some, probably at least a year and a half of pretty intense sessions along with therapy and everything, and just really kind of worked on all that. And at that same time, my mind was open to all sorts of different types of things. That's where I was like, there's something different. Yeah. This is working, but this is mainstream. I've never heard of this, It's been around 30 years, but I haven't heard of it. Why haven't I heard about this? What else haven't I not heard about? I learned about essential oils. I learned about alternative diets, changed my diet. I had done some of those things before, but they hadn't made as much of a lasting change as going through the hard work of the personal growth. Yes. Being willing to change. And so, it was definitely complementary to learn how to use aromatherapy, to learn what, genetic mutations I had, to which vitamins would be better for that, to go and recognize that massages help. Yeah. Body work, physical therapy, all these different things, that pampering myself is okay. Go figure.
It's so hard as a mom to give yourself that leeway to be like, yes, I can go and take care of myself.
And especially when you're in the fight or flight stress mode and you think that if I leave my baby, something might happen or this or that. Those mindsets that really get kicking off with anxiety and depression and everything. So that way you get in this loop and you're like, I can't leave them because something might happen. Even though you rationally know, no, they're going to be with their dad, they're going to take a nap. Right. And yet, emotionally and all the rest of you, you're in this reaction like, I can't do this, Yeah. So you don't take time for you.
Right. I have to fess up. I just left my 2-year-old with somebody else other than my parents or my in-laws for the first time yesterday. Nice. I was just like, okay, I'm going to do this. It's just for an hour. I'm going to drive away. And it was so hard. But, you know, you have to do it.
It is hard.
Exactly.
You have to do it. So, yeah, no,
it's good for
really
them
cool.
and it's good for you.
Yeah.
So I went through and healed, and then I said, okay, I'm feeling pretty decent here. You know, my baby's almost 2. I'm going to sign up and become a rapid eye tech. And then I found I was pregnant with my last baby on the way to training. And I went, what? You know, time to put the money where the mouth is, right? All these tools and skills that I had learned and that I was learning and that I was going to be teaching others, I got to use on myself.
Right.
You know, as I go through becoming and doing this, you know, I'm doing this along with everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm still coming out of postpartum. I mean, it takes a good couple of years, really.
Yeah.
You know, my baby's 14 months old, so I'm still recognize that I still have the hormonal fluctuations. I still have the sleep deprivation. You know, I still have a baby at home right now with a fever, you know, and a painful ear, and you know, there's still all of those things. But I'm able to deal with it better because I understand the root cause. I recognize that I've done a lot of emotional healing, which is a lot of things that are tied into the postpartum. I also gave myself permission finally because I loved myself enough.
Yeah.
The root of it is I realized that I needed to be healthy to be able to take care of my kids and do all these things. So therefore, I'm, you know, there's still those moments where I'm like, okay, really? Should I go into, yes, you need to.
Yeah.
And my husband and my kids, my older kids have all seen that the better mom is, the better things go.
Yeah, right.
We'll pitch in and we'll help, you know, so here you go. Yes, Mom, go get a massage. Go do this, you know. Go take some time for you. Go to yoga, you know. Go do these things. The baby will be fine, you know. When they're younger, granted, you know, under 6 months, it is really hard because especially if you're breastfeeding or whatever, to leave them. But as they get older, they'll survive for an hour, you know.
Despite
and like my baby this afternoon, I mean, she was totally bored with me, but then everybody came home from school. It was the greatest thing ever. They tried to pass her back to me, and she's like, meh, no. You know, so that's where I realized, wow, we've done some healing here. For me to be able to be okay with, you know, changing things and doing things a little bit different, yet still the same.
Yeah.
So,
so do you think the experience was like completely night and day, like after having your last child? Or just
yes and no. It was easier more than anything. One, I'm an experienced mom. That is huge right there. The fact that I recognize, you know, been there, done that. I've been through every stage. I mean, my oldest is 17, right? So, I mean, I've been through this enough times, and there is something in that. Also, the fact that, emotionally I was in a much better place. I had worked through a lot of stuff. I recognized the patterns that I was putting in place that were contributing to feeling depressed, to feeling less than, to feeling unworthy, to feeling like I'm a failure. Family systems that I needed to work on. You know, I didn't do a great job of making sure that we had, you know, chores for everybody to do, or a laundry schedule. I have friends who are like have a schedule every day. They bake bread, you know, on Tuesdays, and they do laundry on this day. That's awesome. Not really me. However, I could benefit from having a little bit more of a schedule, you know. So I looked at what I could actually handle, what I could do, and then what I was willing to ask for help for. And what I, you know, and I continued to do rapid eye sessions, you know, with Cindy actually, through all of that, because I knew how important it was, even though I was like, I don't have time for this, I'd rather sleep. No, I really made it a priority, you know. And are there days that I still, whatever, sit around or don't get things accomplished? I don't dog on myself as much anymore. So I will say, it's different, but I still can feel those doubts sometimes creeping in, but I'm able to recognize them easier. Yeah. I'm able to recognize that this is a pattern. What can I do to stop myself? Sure. Why am I feeling this way? Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I need to sleep. Maybe I need to, you know, get out of the house. Maybe we all need to go for a drive, you know. Happened to do that the other day. Perfect. Brought a book. They slept in the car. I was like, that was worth a tank of gas, whatever, you know. No kidding. I will drive to Finley and back. Right. You know, so that's awesome. Yeah, that's been something that has, you know, really kind of helped.
So cool. So cool. So tell me a little bit about how you guys met and decided to go on this venture together. I feel like there's quite a story here.
Well, it was a blind text.
It was. A friend of ours
blind date.
Texted me and said, "Oh, there's this person. She lives in town with you. The person, one of the people that is the trainer for Rapid Eye." And she says, "You need to go meet her. You're gonna love her." I said, "Great. You know, that sounds wonderful." So I texted Amber, and it was like last February, so it was snow, you know, up to our eyeballs practically, into January, and it was about this time of year.
Yeah,
it was.
And so we said, okay, let's get together, and we met down at a restaurant, and she brought her brand new baby, which was so cute. I love babies, as you can tell.
Right.
So that was fun, and we just hit it off, and somehow I have to say that one of the things that has happened with Amber and I is we seem to reinforce each other's creativity. And I don't know how that happened exactly or why, but I'll have an idea and Amber will say, oh, that's a great idea. How about this part of it? And I'll say, great, I'll do this. And I was, she says, we need a webpage. So I go put together a webpage. And then she puts most of the content on it. You know, I mean, really, honestly, I just got it all structured up. And then she does all the, meaningful work. It would be pretty empty looking without Amber. And she said, we need a Facebook page.
But I need structure.
She said, we need a Facebook page. And I can put together a Facebook page. And then she does all the daily posts on all the work.
No, Facebook does. I just do the advanced posts. I mean, come on. But there is a little bit of work involved.
I love advanced posts. Those are so awesome.
She does so well. And they're so nice. Like I'm going, see, I'm associated with this wonderful product now.
And see, what I love is that she builds me up here. She gives reinforcement. She listens to me when I'm like,
right.
which is I think the basis of really more than anything else. We have this friendship. I mean, as we were creating this business, we were going, you know what? Even if this is a failure, we've at least had our friendship. We have each other. We have what we've learned from each other. And so I'm grateful that I got the same blind text. You need to meet her. Okay,
Another,
and here we are.
A random thing.
Random and yet not.
Yeah, you gotta wonder sometime about the nature of randomness.
Exactly.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So here we are a year later, and really just
and we've had some fits and starts with our business. I work full time and have a big family. Amber has a big family, but we've managed to kind of stay on track and recognize that things don't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You have to build layer upon layer, piece by piece. Try to reach out and try different things. A couple of things we've tried that have done really, really well has been our idea of $5 Reiki and then Reiki for Reiki. And so we said, well, we're both Reiki practitioners and have had been attuned.
Okay.
We said, well, we don't have much chance to practice, and we need to get together. So, and it's really important for people who are Reiki practitioners to have some time to get Reiki themselves.
Yeah.
So we did Reiki for Reiki. We just trade Reiki with each other. And this wonderful group of people shows up. We just do a little bit of advertising using a lot of Amber's contacts. People show up. We have a wonderful time. I mean, it's just special. And then we said, well, there's a lot of people who want to know what Reiki is, but they don't want to go in for a full Reiki session because they don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So we said, well, how about if we just had all of the people who are the practitioners from Reiki for Reiki, invite them to come, and we say, for $5, you get a little Reiki. It's like the wine tasting of Reiki.
Perfect. I love that.
And,
I'm down for some.
We did that in January for the first time, and we'll do it monthly, and it was great.
Nice.
We had people who saw about it on Facebook and showed up. They're trying to find our office, which is all squirreled away,
Kind of like this place.
Yeah. And it was, but they found it, and they texted us and stuff, and we had quite a few people show up.
That is so
And what it's doing is helping us pay our rent.
Nice.
Yeah. Keep our office and keep things going.
That's the thing about Reiki in this community, because I actually hadn't even had much knowledge or experience or anything with it until I think it was in November, this last November, that I kind of caught on to the idea of it, and I was like, what is this? And then I started seeing so many other people that were involved in it, and I was just like, holy cow, there's a whole community of people that are doing this that I had no idea. I really had no idea. So I don't even know how long this has been active in our area. Do you guys know?
Let's see.
Reiki practitioners have been in the area, I'm sure, for a very long time.
Yeah.
So
Reiki has been in the United States for at least
since the 1940s.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there have been Reiki practitioners in the Tri-Cities since very soon after that. It's one of those places that always seems to have something going on. But it is something that we're hearing more and more about now.
Yes.
I think a lot of that has to do with social media. You'll see so many more things going on in your community than you used to, and people are able to go on and say, oh, I did this thing, and then they copy it, and then you know how it is, it goes friend to friend until finally you read about it, goes down your feed or something, or your other friend will say, well, I saw this the other day, what do you think that is?
Right. Or when you say you're interested in an event, then it shows you all your friends that are interested in other events now, and I'm just like, wow, there's so much
also think that half of it is just that people are looking for more alternative things. You know, like me, they get a little taste of something and then realize, oh, there's so much more. And so, you know, kind of like how you buy a car and you didn't recognize that everybody else has that car until you buy it. It's similar to that. Once you go into the alternative just a little bit and then you start talking about it or you mention something to a friend, chances are they've heard of someone, and then boom, you're introduced to a bunch of different things. I mean, that's how I ended up as a Reiki practitioner too, is I went to Rapid Eye training. They said, okay, there's this cool Reiki thing, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. They're like, it's the life force, you know, in your body, and it's going to make you feel good. And I said, great, sign me up. It's non-invasive. It doesn't hurt.
Sure.
All right.
Non-invasive
you know,
is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Same with, you know, and Rapid Eye is the same. It's non-invasive. You can use Reiki and Rapid Eye and all of these modalities along with, in fact, it even works almost better, you know, with Western healthcare, you know, with all these other things, because it's not, you know, a drug, it's not this or that or whatnot, that you can use all these different modalities complementary to each other.
That's right.
You know, so that's kind of where I see that it's kind of starting to blossom a little bit more, is because people are getting more and more fed up and not getting the answers they need from Western healthcare.
Right.
So they're asking their friends, they're looking for things. People are just a little more open-minded. Yeah. And maybe have, you know, realized that essential oils aren't of the devil or whatever. And then they're like, well, if that's okay, then whatever else. You know, I mean, that was kind of the big craze, 5, 6, 7 years ago.
Right.
You know, at least here in the Tri-Cities, I was like, that's, you know, wow.
It's everywhere,
You know, so it's kind of like a little bit at a time. And as you're ready, more will show up. You know, I mean, that's just kind of how it tends to go.
Do you feel like the work that you do with like the Rapid Eye movement and all of that is more approachable than like a Reiki session or something for people who aren't really in that realm?
We have, you know, it's interesting because Amber and I have talked about that. We Rapid Eye straddles that line pretty effectively. There are at the Rapid Eye Institute, they did some investigating into how it works and why it works, and actually identified the neural pathway in your mind that the movement of blinking and the movement of the wand and the different things accesses. And it's very similar to the same neural pathway that you access during REM sleep.
Oh, okay.
And you know how sometimes you have something on your mind and you sleep on it, you know?
Yeah.
And you think of solutions, and you think of a way, or you at least feel better about it. You think, oh, that's not such a big deal. Now that I've had a little sleep, I feel a lot better. It's a very similar experience with Rapid Eye. Okay. You have a Rapid Eye session, you think, oh, well, that's something handleable. Okay. I've worked out a lot of this kind of in my head, because you access that same neural pathway. So in that way, to answer your question, it has a tendency to be much more kind of physical and in the now. You know, you do these things in this order, you get good results. Whereas with Reiki, it's much more along the lines of quantum physics. Sure. So you're talking about the difference between physics, you know, mechanical physics, and quantum physics. Now, are those two things different, or are they the same? Yeah. They're different and the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Quantum physics lead and bridge into physical physics, you know, the mechanical physics. Right. Of course, they're related. They're both physics. It's about the real world. It's the same thing with Rapid Eye and Reiki. Yeah. You know, Reiki is much more in the realm of you know, things happening like quantum mirroring. Sure. You know, whereas Rapid Eye is very much more like F equals ma. You know, force equals mass times acceleration. It's this. Right. Very structured. But why does it work? Because it's energy work. That's why it works. Because you're an energy healer. Yeah. I'm just convinced of that. And really? I have a degree in science. I kind of have a science bent, as you can tell. I kind of have my hobby is kind of quantum physics. I love reading about it and stuff. And yet I've come to understand that just because I don't know the mechanics behind it, that I can't say this is what Reiki is and then measure it out and manipulate it physically, doesn't mean it doesn't exist.
So what kind of led you to that conclusion, just with all the work that you were doing with energy, or like how did that kind of evolve for you? Because typically you see people who are very logic-based, they don't want to make that leap to things that they can't, you know, touch, see, you know, all of these different things. So like how did that evolve for you? Because I can feel it. You can? When I had my Reiki attunement, when I had people do Reiki on me, I could tell that something was happening. Now, it's not something that my eyes perceive very well, or my ears hear very well, or my skin feels very well, and I certainly didn't smell it. Yeah.
But it was real nonetheless. I could feel it in a different way that I just wasn't accustomed to. So I thought, well, do I disregard the evidence of my own body, my own person, and say, well, that can't be real because it's not see, taste, smell, touch, or I'm not weighing it, you know?
Right, right.
Or do I go ahead and understand that there's more that I don't know than what I do know?
Okay.
And I thought, no, that's absolutely true. There's a lot more I don't know than what I do know.
Right.
And so why not take the leap? It's not invasive. It doesn't hurt you. It can do nothing but help unless you ignore your own physical well-being. You know, I mean, you can go astray, of course, and not help yourself.
Sure.
But if you apply common sense, you've got nothing to lose.
Sure.
You know? And so then once you make that kind of a decision, you make that leap into what more is there.
Yeah.
It gets pretty exciting.
It is very exciting because that's kind of where I'm at in this, like, exploring different avenues is I'm like, holy cow, there's so much to look at and to research and to learn. It's just like, it's exciting and it's overwhelming, but not in a bad way. No. Like, it's overwhelming, like, there's answers. There's things that I can do and change and build. Like, it is so exciting. Like, I can't, there are no words. I have no words. Those
well, and
words.
I would imagine there will be a day, and I don't think it's that far off, that we will be able to quantify, and I'm sure we're going to be able to do mathematical equations, just like we do about string physics now.
Yeah.
You know, we don't know from our own senses about the other dimensions that we can prove exist in string theory.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
But we know they do.
Right.
And physicists know that they exist because they have mathematically proven that.
Yeah. So do you think that would be in more like, maybe I'm not looking at the right measurements, but like in the NES program, is that kind of like a quantifiable way to measure some aspects of energy and Reiki and how it works, or is it kind of different?
I think that we will see a convergence.
Think so?
At some point, where things like NES and Reiki and all these things, we'll begin to see convergence points as we gain that kind of understanding. So I don't think they're necessarily different because I don't know enough about it to say that, but I believe that they're all in the same vein.
Sure.
Well, one way I look at it too is, you know, MRI gives you some results, right? An ultrasound gives you some results.
Yes.
Your doctor gives you some results,
yes.
right? They're not giving you the whole picture.
Right.
So think about it. And Reiki can give you some of the same things.
Yeah.
NAS can show you some of the different, where the blockages are. Yes. You know, all these different things. So if we put it into kind of that, it all works towards creating wholeness and wellness in the body. It's just giving us information, then what do we do with that information?
Right.
So when she says, you know, the convergence, we're going to be able to get a more clear whole picture of what's going on to be able to address things even faster, to address them in different ways using different modalities and stuff. That's why there's so many different ones. That's why they're complementary. That's why it's amazing, you know. That's why, you know, you can get the NES results and do Reiki on it. You can get, you know, your MRI results and you can do Reiki on it, because if you believe that, you know, hey, I've got a mass here, okay, well, that's not normal, so what can I use? Oh, okay, I'm going to use CBD oil, I'm going to use essential oils, I'm going to use Reiki, I'm going to use chemotherapy, I'm going to use whatever, you know. Yeah. All these different things as you're led to do, as you're given your options to be able to restore you back to wholeness.
Yeah, and I think you guys are so right on that, and I think that people are slowly but surely, like, really opening their minds to all that could be available to them. However, there is that group of people that are very resistant to it, and they're very closed off to it, which
is usually based in fear.
Yeah.
And that's what Rapid Eye helps to address, is that fear. What if we could remove that overwhelming emotion that we feel? Yeah. And be able to look at things in a clear mind and make the choice for ourselves. You know, yes, that's for me, or no, that's not for me. But as long as you know that you're making it because you're centered and you're not doing it out of emotion, you're doing it out of reason and your heart. They're connected, and you're able to really, you know, look at it and say, what is best for me? And then proceed forward. And it may not be going into energy work. It may not be doing any of this stuff. But what if? You know, what if we could be able to take control? Yeah. Yeah. That would be beautiful. Right? I do like control. Maybe sometimes too much, but, you know. Exactly. There's a fine balance there, you know? There is. And what if we can also not stand in judgment of somebody else's path? Yes. That would be beautiful. Exactly. So beautiful. So speaking of paths, so you guys came together Yes.
And you decided to build this business. And so what has that journey looked like for you guys? Like, I know that with both big families and work and all of the different added elements, like how has that kind of intertwined and grown?
Well, let's see, we've spent many hours together.
Yeah.
Sometimes talking about business, sometimes getting to know each other, sometimes doing sessions on each other, because that's one thing that we made a commitment is that we got to walk the walk. You know, we can't just talk it and say, oh, you guys should work on this. No, without doing our own work. So we've made that a priority to continue to do that. And that, I think, has helped us probably the most out of everything. And then, just lots of getting to know each other and working on things and having ideas. And then...
Well, and we looked at several different mechanisms to promote our business. I walked through the process of getting a business license and so forth and so on.
That is so intimidating. It was for me because like I was a contracted trainer, so I was, going out on this venture, starting this business, and just like looking at all the legal and the licenses and the insurance and all of that was just like I was like, okay, hopefully I'm doing this right. Somebody double check this.
I know. There's like, you just feel like you're going to walk off a cliff at some point, and you won't. It'll be like a cartoon character. Right. You're going to walk off the cliff, and you won't know you're falling for a long time.
Right, you're just
till you're too far to go back. Wait a minute.
Exactly.
Don't look down. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
And then we also have made a commitment. We get together at least once a month and have a meeting about what we're going to do. We try to set a 6-month plan out. We've just really tried to do some things and at the same time remain very flexible.
Sure.
So, Lotus of the Moon has a new grand opening. Get all together. We say, yep, let's go do it. We go do that.
I just went into that place. It is so cool in
Isn't
there.
it?
Oh my gosh, they've got so many neat things.
Well, and I think what works for us in doing that is we have a little bit of a structure, but we also have flexibility because we do have busy lives, because we have things that come up, because our priority, is to be able to still be, we're very much family oriented. Both of us are, that is a huge priority in our lives, but this is as well.
Sure.
And doing our own personal growth. So being able to mesh all of that, that's what we've really, I think, been working on and are starting to find a really good balance for.
And then giving ourselves permission to let that grow a little bit organically.
Exactly.
And take its time.
Yeah.
Recognizing that we're making a commitment, but that doesn't mean that it has to be any certain way.
Yes.
That we're gonna make it our way.
Yeah. I remember feeling very impatient in the beginning when I first started my business. Like I was just like, it has to happen tomorrow. Look at all of these other trainers out there, and they're promoting and they're doing, and I need to be doing and promote. Like just like you said, taking that time and just allowing it to happen is so much. I don't want to say easier, but it definitely makes the process more palatable.
And I think it might be more efficient.
Yeah.
Because when you're really, really pushing, you expend a great deal of energy really, really pushing.
Yeah.
And when you're a mom, have big families like we do, and all kinds of things, you don't have that much energy to spend on simply pushing. You have to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Or you're just not going to make it. So I think that allowing things to grow in their own way and time is more efficient. It's certainly kinder.
Yeah. Yes.
And
yes, so much.
and we encourage one another in that way. We say, hey, let's try this now. It didn't quite work. Should we try again now? Should we try again later? Should we do something a little different?
Yeah.
And one of the things that's been so interesting for Amber and I is we have such a commitment to doing things authentically and with tremendous purpose and service. When we took a road trip to Utah and found that we could talk all the way to Utah and all the way back.
That's
great.
awesome.
We were there for like 4 days. I mean, we chatted and Amber took notes part of the time. We had our youngest with us.
Oh, did you?
We were,
How many hours is that?
I think it's like 10-ish,
yeah.
10 to 12, It's a while.
Yeah.
It's almost 12 hours in the car,
Gosh.
And
But it's sitting down,
yeah,
which is something I don't get to
place
do.
else to go, And
Right.
One of the things that really, as we talked, and that was last October, so we'd known each other for a while, we've been in business for a while, is that we realized that without giving service to our community, it wouldn't mean anything to us.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't mean anything to us, then what are we doing?
Yeah. Really defining your goals.
What really drives us. And because this is a business, but it's also a business of two energy workers, two people who are light workers in the world and are willing to claim that.
Yeah.
It's not all about making money.
Right.
But it's not all about going broke either.
Sure. Yeah, you gotta keep the lights on.
So you gotta kind of weigh that out. But one of those we said we've got to be in service. That's how Reiki for Reiki was born, and $5 Reiki, and those kinds of ideas, and some of our classes, and those have been some of the things that have caught on the best. The things that we are simply a service to our community.
That is so cool.
Well, because I mean, if people weren't in service to me, would I be here at this point? No.
Right.
If that lady hadn't given me this, if the one hadn't got off her lawnmower and said, "I'll see you in an hour," I mean, I don't know where it would be.
Right. So just kind of paying it forward.
Exactly. If our friend hadn't introduced us, I mean, there's so many different little things. So when I think back on that, I'm like, how can I not?
Yeah, that definitely sounds like you're coming from a place of giving and growth.
One of the other things you mentioned was people who have a resistance to things that are more less tangible.
Yes.
And I think that lots of people who have overcome that resistance, because here in our Western society, we build that resistance on purpose.
We do.
And
yes, we do.
So to overcome that, you have to be somehow at the end of your rope.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form, you get to the end of your rope.
Yes.
And when you reach that end and you wonder, how am I going to make it to another day?
Yes.
When you feel that hopelessness of someone's going to die. It's going to be me. I'm not going to be able to take care of the kids. I don't know what's going to happen. We've gotten there. Suddenly, you're not as invested.
Yeah.
In not believing in things.
Right.
You're much more invested in taking that risk. Go see the counselor in an hour. I'll be there. Yes. What have I got to lose?
Right.
And it's that kind of a what have I got to lose kind of a feeling that you really begin to say, is there anything else?
Yes.
Is there anything else? And when you ask those broad questions, you get broad answers.
Yes, you do.
You know?
As I'm finding out, yes. There's so much out there. And you know what? I think that coming across the things and different alternatives in the healing realm, like, of course it was great for myself, but what really made me consider a lot of it was my daughter, who is struggling with a lot of medical issues. And so I was like, okay, if it wasn't enough to do it for myself, it'll definitely be enough to look at it for my child. So yeah, there's always that motivator. I think you're spot on that one.
Well, and that's why I went to the therapist, was, well, I love my kids enough, I'll go do that. And somewhere along the lines it changed to I love myself enough. Yeah. And so whatever gets you going, whatever, opens it up. Yeah. Then so be it,
Yes. Yes. That is so cool. So you guys how far along are you in this business?
We've been, going for a year now.
A year.
Now, right?
Yeah. A year. Awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
So lots of planning and mapping and weaving and all of this stuff as far as how it all looks and works for you guys, which I think is amazing. I think that a lot of businesses tend to put family and things that are not necessarily just family, but things that are important to them outside of their business on the back burner. So I think it's so great that you guys are coming at it from an angle of what's important to you guys outside of your business as well as what's important to you inside of your business. Exactly. That is just so cool to see. So moving forward, what do your guys' plans look like for this business that you have?
Let's see. What does it look like?
Well, we have plans to continue our outreach.
Yes.
Into the community, again with that idea of service and authenticity that is so important to us, that we want to continue to evolve the classes that we have and the services that we offer to meet people where they are. In fact, Amber was saying that just before we walked in. She goes, we've got to, with our class planning, meet people where they are. We can't just tell people what we want them to know. Yeah. We have to help people learn what they need to know to live their lives in an easier, better, nicer, more fulfilled, fill in the blank way.
Well, and as I work with clients personally, I love seeing them empowered. I love seeing the light come back in, and I love giving them tools and skills to go home and use. Right. Because that's half of it. Hey, have you remembered how to do that? Oh yeah, that's right. Because the whole point is empowering you. You know, as much as I'd love to see and have you as my client, I really, you know, I don't need to see you for years and years. I want to see you for a couple months and then check out on Facebook the awesome things you're doing.
Right.
I want to see that you're engaged in life again. So to do that, yes, you can come in for individual sessions, but we can also go in the community. But the biggest thing is I'm going to empower you to go out and live your best life.
Yes.
You know, so if we have people come to our classes and then they decide they want to do personal ones, great. If they just want to come to our classes and learn a few tools and skills, even better. You know, I mean, whatever. It's great.
Yeah.
You know, so I was telling her that I wanted to do one for like PTSD and anxiety and stress because that's something that I'm seeing across the board. It's something I've experienced. It's something that, you know, I'm seeing kids that are younger and younger experiencing. Somebody has someone affected by that. Yeah. You know, so why not give people hope? Again, it goes back to that hope thing. You know, when I give them hope, when I give them tools, why not point them in different directions? Even if, you know, what we offer isn't right for them, perhaps we know somebody who might be the perfect fit. You know, the more that we are able to get out there and network and be together as healers and as a community, you know, alternative, Western, whatever, the better we're able to serve and help other people to find ways and resources that will benefit them. Yeah. You know?
That is an awesome way to go at that. Yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. That is beautiful. That is so beautiful.
So I think that's pretty much where we're headed.
Right.
Awesome.
We'll continue to build on that. We do have individual clients. We split the office and have different days we do things. And see people individually. We teach classes together. We have different kind of activities with our Reiki activities. And I'm sure we'll come up with more things that we'll do and just kind of put out there.
Sounds like you guys are just like a ball of ideas.
Exactly.
And find to help people have an opportunity to choose what works for them. And that really is the case.
And to learn.
I can't come in and say, you've got to A, B, C, and D, and then you'll feel better. Because we have plenty of things in our lives that do that already. We don't need more of that.
We really do.
There's a lot of people. You can go that all over the place, but I
just ask people
love
on
the way that Amber said that with empowering people to be their best self. And it's interesting, but even by offering a class or instruction on dealing with anxiety, when you empower someone to acknowledge that they're anxious, they have the opportunity to deal with their anxiety. When you just keep saying, oh, you'll be fine, you never have the opportunity to cope with that or learn any skills to deal with your own anxiety. And I think that's, we do each other a disservice when we can't say, I don't feel very good about this. You know, what can I do to feel better about my life?
That's going back to your story. Like, I just felt like something wasn't right. You know, after you're having your babies, everybody's like, you'll be okay, you'll be fine. And then,
Right?
Exactly.
Well, I did to my 3-year-old today. I was like, you'll be fine. He's like, I'm not fine. Because he was crying, because he was mad, you know. I didn't let him do something. He's like, you're not being nice to me and all these things. And I was like, shh, you're okay. Wait, I'm shutting him down.
Reframe,
You know, reframe. Yeah, okay, I understand that you're mad at me right now, and that's okay. And you can cry and scream and throw a fit and everything, just not right here while I'm, you know, where my ears are.
Right.
right?
You can do that over there.
Exactly. But not, you know, feel free to express it. You're right. You're not okay in this moment, but you will be, you know? And so it's just like, oh, wow. All these messages we're getting everywhere and stuff, too, to just shut down and deny, you know, our feelings and who we are and everything. So, I mean, like you said, that's so powerful, just acknowledging and being authentic about how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And, and it's a vulnerable thing to do.
It is.
Brene Brown, love her.
Oh my
you
gosh,
know,
I was just thinking about her when you said that. Oh, I just finished Braving the Wilderness.
Oh, yes.
So good. So good. And what you're talking about, like measuring things and tangible things, it brings me back to, I heard her on a podcast saying she used to have this sign in her office that said, you know, if you can't measure it, it doesn't matter, or something like this. But now she has one that says, if you can measure it, it probably doesn't matter. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome.
Very true.
So true. So true.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then an added element, like if you think about how many adults that you can, like, reach with this practice and these different methods, think about all the kids at home. They're going to have parents that are open to these new things, and the next generation coming up, and like you said, learning to, like, oh yeah, I'm shutting, I'm shutting him down. I need to rework this, you know, like, I can't imagine what the next generation is going to look like.
Even if I only get it right 1 out of the 5 times that I do it, that's still something.
Right.
You know?
That's right.
And I've worked with kids and everything, and it's usually, I mean, they're great.
Really?
But it's usually the parents that need it.
I've had several
Amen
kids
for me,
also,
you know.
And I love working with the kids.
Yeah.
You know, don't get me wrong. It's pretty quick. Kids are pretty
I was gonna say they're way
about
open.
stuff.
Yeah.
And what I find is that, much like me as a parent, I am immensely traumatized by my children's hard times.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
and
yes.
all of 7 of our kids came to us through the foster adopt system and have whole stories. You know, and some of them are pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And to see these youngsters struggle from the time they're quite young to 17, 18, 20 years old, and the things they go through, it just breaks your heart. You know, it's so affecting as a parent because you love them so much that I need to handle my own emotions about that.
Yeah.
You know, because they're working their path.
Yeah.
They're living their life and working their path.
Yeah.
And I'm over here having a fit about
right.
it.
It's hard to remember sometimes. You're like, I just want to
Absolutely.
take all of that from you and I'll take it.
I'll just fix that.
Right, right. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, so hard to remember. So yeah. So we now you guys are having an event in April. Is this right? Are we still doing April?
We are going to be at the Healing Expo.
Healing Expo, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do that, and then we just have, a couple other things that we're going to be doing, classes and whatnot, which we put on our webpage and our Facebook page, and make the events and all that, and just keep people updated and stuff. We're kind of currently going through March. We are going to training in April.
Are you?
Again, too, which we're excited. We'll come back and have even more ideas, I'm sure.
There you go.
Be more spiffy in our technique. I don't know. We're excited to go be with a community of other rapid eye techs, just to kind of learn and grow with each other and everything too. So
could you walk me through what exactly the whole process even looks like? What tools you use?
What a session? So we have it kind of split up where you can come in for just a Reiki session, where you just come in and lay down and we do Reiki on you, which is pretty cool, right? Yeah. Because for anybody who's a tired, busy person, taking a 45-minute, hour nap, or just laying down,
right?
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then we also have our life coaching sessions, which if you just want to come in and just kind of get some ideas on how to learn some different tools and skills in your life, see things in a different way, recognize patterns, figure out what you could create, what you are creating, what you really want, those type of things. We have that, and then we have just the rapid eye sessions where you come in and do that. Sometimes in the sessions you end up with a little bit of all of those.
Okay.
Majority of people who've been coming in now come in for rapid eye sessions. So when you come in, we kind of talk about what it is, unless you've been to one of our information sessions or we've kind of explained what it is. And then kind of ask people what they want to work on. A lot of times people have things they want to work on. They remember traumas or they don't, or they just don't feel very good, all these things. The one thing that I usually start out with is something called light birth, because a lot of our issues start at birth, right? Think about it. I mean, they're just now figuring out that, I read some article today about how the mother still has all of the DNA cells from their kids or whatever that cross the placental barrier and, all that type of stuff, right?
I was listening to a podcast about
exactly.
that, on stem cells and how they're
exactly
left
how
behind.
they come. Yeah. So I figure, I think they showed something. I was like, I've had 4 boys, so I'm probably almost half male.
Right.
Interesting. I was like, wow. They cut open people's brains and they found one of them was half male or something like that, and she was 90. So I mean, and had a baby at 30. So I mean, it was just really cool.
Yeah.
But so a lot of our issues start there. We we're washing our mom's hormones. I mean, all that stuff. We hear things, all of that. So when we think about that, that's when our pattern's starting and stuff. So then birth is traumatic, right? I mean, no matter how nice and beautiful it is, it's still traumatic. You're squished, it's dark. I was inside, now I'm out. What the heck, So when we find that when we go back and just kind of reframe all of that and help it be a little bit more positive and release some of the emotions there, one, it trains the body on how to release the rapid eye way, which is slightly different than other types of releasing. And two, it just kind of helps get you back to your original template. It just starts lessening that load. We're onions. It's peeling stuff off, so it's peeling that first little bit. Most people leave that first session feeling like, whoa, that was not what I expected. That was kind of cool. I really like it. I'm really tired. Anything that we've missed, you go home and it, like she said, it just kind of works itself out.
Right.
But they usually feel different. They feel lighter. They're able to react a different way. They're just kind of like, wow, I don't really know, but that was powerful, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And the other thing to note is that you're fully awake the whole time. So you're in control. We can have a conversation. We can do all these different things because it is simulating REM sleep, but you're not necessarily asleep.
Sure.
It's just a way of opening up and just kind of releasing stuff that's going on in your brain.
That's probably hugely crucial for people that are high anxiety because
Exactly.
they want to still be in control because their anxiety is fueling that
was
for
me.
them.
That was me. I mean, I was like, yeah, okay, sure, you can wave that thing, but I will
on.
be out. Exactly. Like, hey, wait a minute, I need to, and I've done that, and I recognize that, and I honor that people need to understand the process a little bit more. So I make sure everybody can stop at any time that they want. Sometimes the best way is to just kind of experience a little bit of it, and then you have a better idea of the questions to ask too.
Right.
And then after we've kind of opened up all the neural pathways and done all of that, we don't want to leave you like loose wire, right?
Right.
So we go through and we just kind of help close everything down so that way your right and left brain are talking to each other. You're making your own connections. A lot of people will do that. They'll be like, oh my gosh, or oh, as your brain is kind of working together, because the other part is the integration. When people are really right-brained or really left-brained, like you said, with people with control, it's a way of being able to bridge and see and become that wholeness, to be able to talk with each other, your brain making things down, slowing it down, letting you just, have time to process.
Right.
So that is going on, and that is the part towards the end that we're doing, is helping make those connections after we've kind of, helped you reclassify stuff in your brain, do that, and then just kind of ground you, help you feel calmer, help you feel more connected to the earth, to everything else. And so that's kind of how we end it, is with you just feeling relaxed and calm and just able to kind of allow things to go the way that they're supposed to.
Sure.
And I know for me, I always trust that your body knows the best. I mean, I'm here assisting and everything, but you're the one doing the work,
Right.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
I'm just waving my eye directing device. I'm just, giving you some input. I'm helping your body. I'm just assisting.
Okay.
And stuff. So
I noticed that you mentioned like what people feel afterwards, and is it typically the same after the first one to the next one to the next one, or do they get kind of a different result? Because I was looking into a lot of like sensory deprivation tanks and stuff, and how they say after the first session you feel really tired, you just kind of want to rest. But afterwards, you go back to a second, third, and then you're energized afterwards because you know that you're you're back in alignment or whatever.
It's usually pretty similar to that.
Is it?
Sometimes some people leave and they're like, oh, I feel amazing, and then they kind of crash a little bit after. It's just like after a massage, right? You're like, I feel amazing. Oh my gosh, my muscles, I mean, there's no one way that anybody does it, but in general, people feel that way. Second, third sessions, they're feeling lighter. I mean, because things are being released. I had one who was like, oh, my shoulder's feeling better, or this or that, aches and pains in your body, stuff that you didn't realize may have had an emotional base, is feeling a little bit better. And then you kind of hit somewhere where you're starting to work on some of the more deeper emotional stuff. And so during the sessions, it can be a little intense, a little, as you're releasing those emotions. But then once they're gone, you're like, oh, I feel better. So again, people might feel tired a little bit, but usually after about the fourth or fifth session, I tell people, this is when it might get a little bit, keep pushing.
Yeah.
By the 6th, people are like, oh, okay. By the 12th, people are amazing. I encourage people to do 12 sessions because it only gets better. Once your body has learned, you've released so much stuff, then you can really start getting kind of into the nitty-gritty without and moving faster through it and stuff. So some of the people I've had that have come for 12 to 15 to 18, 3 or 4 months steadily, she was like, I think I'm done. I'm like, I think you are too, for now. Then they come in for tune-up sessions. She's like, oh, I need a tune-up session, I just got some issue that I really need a little bit of help with and stuff. But they're feeling so much clearer and so much and more empowered that they're able to just really kind of start, and they've learned tools and skills along the way, because even though we've done this, I still teach them some different tapping sequences or different breathing techniques or the pattern cycle, recognizing how this pattern is affecting them. So we're teaching along with this, so that way they don't recreate the same type of thing.
Sure. Yeah. And I can only speak from going like the therapy route, but I noticed that like you were talking about how you kind of get rid of the base, like the stuff on the surface that's really bothering you, and then you feel better, but then you get deeper. Like, do you see a lot of those trends with the work that you guys do?
Oh, yeah.
Or
even me, I think I've done a lot. I've arrived. No, I never really thought that, but
no.
Exactly. There's always something more. There's always going to be stresses in our life and stuff too. But there's always stuff, and there's sometimes that you're ready to address things, and sometimes you're not, and that's okay too. Yeah. Sometimes you need to just chill.
Well, I think too that people as they release and are able to relax and have less anxiety in their lives, And if that goes on for any length of time at all, you become much less, what am I trying to say, you won't put up with it anymore. You start to feel a little bit anxious, like, oh no, I'm not doing that again. No, I'm going to do something different.
Yeah.
I'm going to go have a massage. I'm going to go do some more rapid eye. I'm going to pull out my life skills book that I had, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to say, my gosh, you don't have as great a tolerance.
Yeah.
It's much like chronic pain.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had chronic pain. I had a bad back for years. And pretty soon your ability to stand that chronic pain grows and grows and grows until finally you reach a breaking point. And you just can't cope. And then you'll kind of come back up again, and you'll find that you just become more tolerant to the pain.
Sure.
When it goes away, finally you have an opportunity. You find a treatment that works. The minute you get a twinge in your back, you're like, no, I know what this is about, and we're not doing that.
Yeah.
We're not doing that again.
Well, I can't even imagine what that would be like, living with chronic pain and then going all the way down and not having, like, is it no pain at all for you, or do you still have, like, some
My
pain?
back is so much better.
Is it?
I can't tell you. Now, there'll be days when it bothers me. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, for me, it really is a lot emotional.
Is it?
Which I hate.
I know.
But I love, because then I don't have to have surgery. I mean, think about it. It's something I can, where I'm empowered to go work with it, but I'm like, great. Something's bothering me. I don't even know what it is, but my back's killing me.
Yeah.
Well, and it's just the fact that you were able to finally make the leap that it's
primarily emotional.
Now, just shows that you've done enough work. So now the back is starting to be like, okay, now you've paid a little more attention to me because you got some of this other stuff out of the way.
But I have a much lower tolerance for that kind of pain.
Yeah.
It gets to me faster. I find it more annoying. I find it more emotionally, I'm like, oh no, not the backache,
That is so crazy that you say that, because I used to have a very, very high pain tolerance, like super high pain tolerance. But I've noticed that the more I work on my emotional side, the lower my pain tolerance is. And I'm like, I don't know why.
I learned that during childbirth of my last one.
Wow.
It hurt a lot more, and I was like, wow. And that's what I correlated it to, is I was like, oh, it's because I've done a lot of, I was so good at shutting down, and now, no, I'm actually embracing it. So this sucks. This hurts and everything.
I'm alert.
Exactly. Yeah. And I also was like, okay, that still gave me the impetus of not going back to the... Exactly. Yeah. Of going and being like, okay, even though I'm exhausted, I'm still going to go and do this. Yeah. Because I know even any little bit that I can do will help keep that pain at bay, or will help, me moving forward. Yeah. Even if it's not necessarily the way I think it should be, or whatever, I had to let go of that too.
Yeah.
Well, we find that in I don't know about y'all, but I find that in my marriage also. You when you're first married and stuff, and you don't talk about things, and things will kind of fester, and you just kind of blow it off. Think, wow, we're in love. It doesn't matter.
Right.
We're in love.
Right.
And then time goes on, and you get better communication skills, and you are able to communicate a little more clearly, and you hear a little more from your spouse, even though it can be uncomfortable, and you are more vulnerable yourself. Yeah. That vulnerability can say, hey, we really care about each other, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to work these things out. And then as that continues, you become less and less tolerant of the pushing it away.
So true.
You'll work at something will come up. You say, hey, what's going on about that? Whereas you realize a couple of years ago you might not have said anything.
Right.
Who knows?
That's so true, because my husband is a huge talker. Like he's a talker, and I am very much reserved, and I have to really think about things before I say them. It's like, okay, I got to think about this. You got to give me some time here. But now we've kind of found ourselves in a pattern where I'm like, hey, we gotta talk about this. We need to address this. You need to listen to me. And he's like, who are you? Like, I don't even know you anymore sometimes. I like it, but I don't know if I know you anymore. So yeah, it's very, very similar in that way. So I think that these are really great practices to, like we were talking about earlier, just kind of bringing everything together and still reaching out to other avenues and encompassing everything just for overall health, which is so great. So tell me where we can find you guys. Social media, physically, tell me all of the goods.
Let's see, physically we're about half a block that way.
Are you really?
Yes.
Just across Clearwater.
Exactly. Oh, okay. Yeah, we're on Clearwater, where the DMV is on Clearwater and 395, in that same building, but you go around and there's the door for domestic violence.
Okay.
So if you go in that door and go up the stairs, we're in a little office that's up there. right above the DMV.
Okay.
Love it.
Awesome.
It's a great location. Very healing and, pretty close to all sorts of cool stuff. You know, close to you now, apparently, too. So it's all good. And then you can find us on Facebook at Blink of an Eye Healing. Mm-hmm. And then we have a web page at blinkofanEyehealing.com.
Okay.
So, and on there has our contact information and our information about sessions and classes and all that fun stuff. So
yes, very good. Well, I feel so blessed to have you guys here to talk with me today and to educate me and everybody listening on what you guys are doing. And I wish you guys the best of luck with this venture.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah, and I think that you guys are doing great work, and I just love where you guys are coming from with this. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it too. It's been great.
Cheers for the camera. Thank you all so much for listening. If you would like to help support Unraveling with Rayne, go to patreon.com/unravelingwithrayne. When you become a patron, you receive bonus content such as behind-the-scenes footage, along with other special content that you won't be able to find anywhere else. Music for Unraveling with Rayne was provided by Barefoot Randy. Studio space was provided by Moody Logic.